Hello, and welcome back to Conversations with Karen and Kat, the podcast where we connect with powerful change makers, visionaries, and everyday heroes who are shaping culture and community. I am Karen Scott Green,
And I'm Kat Hardrick.
and we are joined today by a change maker and visionary, Akbar Ali. He is the youngest Democratic state representative in the nation. He is a proud son of Gwinnett County. Akbar leads with community first, uplifting unheard voices, protecting our schools, and reminding us that real leadership is rooted in service. This is a conversation about purpose, people, and the future we're building together. Representative Ali, I'm going to give you your due props.
I know that's
Thank
right.
you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. You made history at just 21 years of age. What experiences growing up in Gwinnett County do you feel shaped you and formed your belief to want to be a young leader?
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh,
Very grateful to be here. Um, I think that starts with just the reason why I became civically involved in the first place, and why this whole journey of point A to point B, where I'm at now, happened. Where back in 2010, 2011, maybe many people in the audience remember, but my mosque in Lilburn was the site of a hate crime and
Mhm.
threats of violence, threats of arson against
mhm.
us. There were flyers that said "Stop the Muslim Takeover of Lilburn, Georgia."
Mm,
Mm.
Yes, and that really only stopped when Obama's Department of Justice, and more importantly, my community elders banded together to put a
Mhm.
stop to it. And funnily enough, the person that one of the people that led that hate movement, Johnny Chris, is still mayor of Lilburn. But that
Mhm.
is a conversation for a different time. So,
Wow.
that's a
mhm,
show in and of itself.
of course. So,
Facts.
but that kind of shaped idea of we need to be civically involved, we need to be
Mhm.
civically engaged, because it's not just about the Muslim community, it's about all of our communities.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Any sort of religion, any sort of ethnicity. But that's exactly why I say I'm a son of Gwinnett County. I'm a son of this district. Because in a lot of ways, this district is a microcosm of Gwinnett County. It is the
Mhm.
most diverse district, as far as we know, racially
Mm,
within the entire state of Georgia,
I was not
with,
aware of that.
yes, with the division of 30% white, 26% black, 18 Asian, and 25 Hispanic. And
That
Wow.
is
so,
that's a lot
yeah,
of
and I'll
diversity.
get more into how that shaped my campaign and my office services as well, because
Mhm.
everyone on my team is in some capacity bilingual.
Mhm.
Yes, because
Mm,
I, and again, we'll get more further into that. But that sort of starts the origin story of how I got here,
Mhm.
because unfortunately, a lot of times it comes out of trauma. It comes out of something
mm.
unfortunate that happens to our community.
That
Right.
But
was your
it
why.
yes, but it doesn't have to end there. It never has to. Yeah.
Mhm. I love that because that's what made me run. But what happened to Mr. George Floyd, his
Mm,
assassination for the world to see. And it was a movement that took everybody from around the globe to
mhm.
come to the streets and stand up for that injustice that we all watched. You did speak about what was your campaign, your members, your team. It was a little different,
Mhm.
and I would like for you to go into that because you don't have to stop, like what you said, with that pain. You could turn your pain into purpose. And your whole campaign spoke about unity. Can you elaborate how that formed for you and how intentional you were with doing that? You were very
Mhm.
intentional and
Mhm.
strategic in doing that.
Mhm.
Tell everybody about that.
So I like to think of it in one, if I had to use one word, it would be tangible. Tangible.
Mhm.
Because oftentimes, yes, we hear the words, we hear the yeah, we're all in this together, unity over everything, which is it's the message is there. Yes, I'm not denying that. However, oftentimes tangible action doesn't
Mhm.
follow within that. And so what my goal was that I would take that message and I would put it into tangible action. And
Mm,
Mhm.
just to spell out some ways that I did that on the campaign side, first and foremost, was that um, we would have language accessibility, because again, this is an incredibly diverse district. And
Mhm.
so look no further than day one of our campaign, where we went to every single minority owned business in the district, with 2 translators, one
Wow.
Spanish and one Korean, and myself.
Mm,
Because a lot of these businesses are ethnic, and
yeah.
this is what we mean by unity, where many times these people have not had anyone from the government, any sort of assistance from even community leaders, nonprofits, or anything come through their door at all.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes, I was the only person um, outside of the establishment's ethnicity that was in that room, and that's totally okay, and it's totally fine because we should embrace our cultures at the same time, have that common accessibility that
Mm-hmm.
lets resources get to where they need to be.
Right.
And
Mm,
that's what our message was, saying that how has your area been neglected and what can we do to change that? Listening
Yeah.
first.
Hey,
Yeah.
how many different languages did you have on your team? Just
Mhm.
to humor me.
We had, so throughout the campaign, we had 4.
Uh-huh.
In my office, we have 5.
okay.
Wow.
Yes. Mhm.
I
And
love
so
that.
you
And it's
ran
not just Spanish. I'm sorry, Karen.
so
It,
you ran on a camp for your campaign. Your platform was focusing on lowering costs for families, protecting public schools, and
Mhm.
defending constitutional rights.
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
Given the political climate in Georgia right now, which do you feel of those is the most urgent in for your district,
Mhm.
and how do you plan on addressing that as a freshman representative?
Mhm. So, loaded question. Thank you so much because that's what's on all of our minds at the moment. Um, Unfortunately, the rights that are being targeted are changing every day, which
Mm,
should not be the case at all. Because earlier this week it was immigration, and then just yesterday, because of the Fulton County raid that happened, now it's for voting rights as well.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all, again, we're not choosing priorities based off of anything of that, any arbitrary reason.
Mhm.
We're talking about constituents here. And there's a saying down here that says, vote your conscience. And
Mm-hmm.
not as in conscience as in what you think, but your conscience should be the people of your district first and foremost.
Right.
So vote what their priorities are. And so number one would be immigration, just because that's been this community, in a way to describe it, is when an immigrant family first moves to the United States, moves to Georgia, and moves to Gwinnett County. Oftentimes they come to an area like Norcross, come to an area like Duluth, and then once they get enough funds, once they get established enough, then they buy their first house within Lawrenceville or Snellville.
Okay.
And so this area is exactly that. This is, again, I am the story of this district, just like how my family came over in 1992. Then once they got established enough, they moved to this house from Norcross. And so atop of their minds is ICE, immigration raids, threats
Mm-hmm.
to their citizenship. At the same time, let's make it clear, we're not a charity case.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Right.
we are very proud to be here. We're very proud to be Americans. We're very proud to have the rights that we have, including voting rights,
Mm-hmm.
because these claims that the president will inevitably make, claiming that he still won the 2020 election because of a so-called investigation that will come up because of the Fulton County FBI raid, that's a threat to us too. We all
Yes.
took personal offense when he said, "Find me 11,000 votes." We can't forget that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer the second half of that, as a freshman lawmaker, oftentimes I was warned to temper my expectations
Okay.
because we are in the minority, and we hear that oftentimes, saying that we're the only swing state with a trifecta Republican government. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want that to stop me, however. You can call me arrogant or you can call me naive, but I don't think that that should stop us because, yes, passing legislation is difficult, especially with
Mm-hmm.
the other side dominating so much. However, there are a lot of things in my personal capacity that I can do with this title that will mean a lot more
Okay.
than average citizen. And so to that comes down to these first and foremost, because you may have seen these immigration cards, the Know Your
Mm-hmm.
Rights card. I need to order more of these because it's the last one I have, because I hand them
Mm,
Wow.
out everywhere I
wow.
go. Yes, and going further than that, when I do these routine business visits, because I do them, or I try to do them every month,
Mhm.
I always try and give resources for immigrants' rights or some nonprofits that would help them with their cases. After I got elected, but before I was sworn in, I already handled 3 immigration cases that came to my email by
Mhm.
sending them to nonprofit lawyers, people
Okay.
that help them out with green cards. But furthermore, there's measures that I would like more of us elected officials to take, such as tangible things. Like I said, we may not be able to pass legislation in the General Assembly, but we can do it locally in a way, or at least encourage it. One thing I am encouraging our local city councils to do, and this, this will be something that I'll communicate to you soon, Councilwoman Hardrick, is the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, passed an executive order in his city to ban ICE from using any sort of city property.
Okay.
And so that's something that I'm wanting to encourage the cities of Lawrenceville, the cities of Snellville, and even beyond my district in Duluth, Peachtree Corners to adopt as well. And furthermore, every single town hall that I will do, and there's one coming up very, very soon, will have an immigration assistance sort of clinic in a way to the side, whether that be with federal congressman offices or nonprofits as well. And if we do want to get into the legislative side, there are 4 bills that have been introduced curbing ICE, and we are trying our best to get them passed.
Okay.
This would be, this is on the Senate side, but is working heavily with companion bills on the House, meaning that we mirror it. And I'm one of the people that are going to mirror this one of these legislation. But this is
Are you sponsoring one of the bills in the House?
I'm introducing one of them. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So this will be requiring ICE agents to wear masks, having the ability or giving citizens the ability to sue if their constitutional rights have been violated in specific regards to ICE. And the one that I am introducing myself, which is a companion piece to the Senate, is to ban the federalization of our National Guard.
Okay.
In order to prevent Memphis, in order to prevent Minneapolis, in order to prevent, unfortunately, many more cities down the line.
Because for those who are listening that may not be aware, your state guards are controlled and under the direction of your state governor. And so historically, it has been the governor who has put the National Guard, has put the state National Guard to use to help with disasters in the state, to help when there have been emergencies. And what Representative Ali is referring to is that in Memphis, the president deployed the Tennessee National Guard to and weaponize them in against Tennesseans,
Against our own citizens.
our own citizens. You have 100 days under the Georgia Dome for the 26th legislative session, and you are how many days in?
So we are 9 days in.
9 days in. So with these 91 days that you have left, what are the priorities for the Democratic caucus?
So, quick amendment to that. Within Georgia, there are 40 days of legislative session.
40 days, sorry.
Yes, no, you're good.
Sorry.
So, with the 31 that we have left, our caucus and the Democratic Party within the Georgia State Assembly and the State House in particular, number one, we are right on the cusp of taking the majority. We are 9 seats away. That is it. Yeah, or sorry, 10 seats away out of 180. And so it is truly possible for us to do. And that is why I'm glad that all of us are unified in a message of tangible affordability and tangible change, foundational change. As in, we have seen rising healthcare costs. And the governor and the Republicans have not uttered a single word of that as their priority. Not one. And we all know that it has been over 15 years of trying to expand Medicaid within the state, which is extremely unfortunate. And these are people's lives that are we talking about. This is the same reason that when I was younger, I've had to have back surgery
Mm.
And I have 2 titanium rods in my spine now.
Ooh.
Mm.
And the first thought.
It looks like we lost Representative Ali. There we
Oh,
go.
hello? Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Yeah.
What?
One of the so my first thought as a patient recovering from surgery at age 15 should not have been, how am I going to help my family pay for this?
Mm,
Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm,
this is that we are talking about. So that is top of our agenda. Number 2 is working to reduce property tax on the local level without harming schools. Now, I
mhm.
mind you, because the Speaker of the House, who's a Republican, unveiled his plan, and it is to completely phase out property taxes over the
I
course of a couple
heard
of years.
that. And I was
I
Yeah.
like, how
heard
is that
that
going to
too.
make sense
Yes.
when it's our
Mhm.
property taxes that pay for our schools? Where's that funding come from? So,
Yes.
because what people don't understand, okay, that sounds great. You'll get rid of property taxes, but then you're going to have to end up paying a higher income tax and a sales
Hmm.
tax to subsidize the
Yes.
real estate tax.
Which is
Go
worse
ahead.
on the bottom 90% than it is the top 10%.
Yes.
You're
Let's make
not
that very
supposed to tell people that.
There's a sign that says Union Yes over here. I think people
Right,
know where I stand. I think people know.
right. Fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is important for people to know because when
Mhm.
you hear no property tax, everybody's like, oh, this sounds great. But you have to think about the rippling effect. You can't
Yeah.
just stop there. We got to think through
Mhm.
things and actually get to the facts. And when you just
Mhm.
knee jerk reaction, you're going to go for it and support it without knowing the facts. So we need people like you to spread the word.
And
K-
all they have to do is look at states who've tried this before.
Mhm.
Look at California. California didn't eliminate property tax, but what they did was they put a freeze. If
Mhm,
you were a homeowner who had been in your home for a certain number of years at that point in time, they put a freeze on the property value so that the you couldn't be taxed any higher.
Mhm.
So anybody new coming in buying property or someone else taking over that property, they're now paying much higher to cover that cost. And California has other higher taxes
mhm,
um,
Mhm.
to make up for that
Mhm.
revenue that was lost from
Mhm.
the lower property taxes coming in.
Yeah.
So
And going further on that, um, as I said, it's a focus on one, affordability, but two, also immigrants' rights
mhm,
and defending our communities first and foremost, and being very, very particular and very tailored about it. If I may add to the previous point about the National Guard,
mhm.
mhm.
one of the things that I set out to do was that the language of it would be very specific, where so the messaging is very, very tailored. Like, take for instance with the federal guard legislation that I said, we're
Mhm.
doing extra work to, one, talk to other constituents, but
Mhm.
also to say to each other that the legislation needs to be so particular that we don't leave any gaps.
Yes.
As in, with the federal guard, I specifically wrote that the federal guard cannot come in to do law enforcement duties.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm,
so that takes future proactiveness into account, because the federal
mhm,
guard has to have been used in the past to integrate schools or to end segregation, and
mhm,
so we want to account for and future proof things as well. And
mhm,
so we're showing that we are a very capable, very safe hands to lead this state into the future, because
Mhm.
clearly Republican leadership has not worked over the
mhm,
last 20 years.
And it's not
mhm.
working.
No, it's
and
not
it's
working now.
and it's not working.
Hmm.
You know,
Go ahead, Kat.
I want to ask about education.
Hmm.
The quality basic education formula, the
Hmm.
QBE,
QBE.
Hmm.
has not been updated since 1985. Can you speak
Hmm.
to any, if this is on your items of things you'd like
Hmm.
to do in your first 100 days? Can you speak to that?
So 100%. I mean, education, as I said in some of my previous interviews, people move to Gwinnett County for our public schools, and I want to keep it that way because we're
Mhm.
the gold standard. And that includes updating the QBE formula, which is something I campaigned on and was something that our caucus is also working on. So, Representative Phil Olaye, he represents parts of DeKalb. he is leading the charge on this, and we're all supporting him on that, to include poverty as part of the calculation. For people that don't know, the QBE formula, Quality Basic Education, is a formula that determines the amount of funding that public schools get. And ours does not have a poverty metric in there. It does not put that into account. And so our big push is to put that into the formula. And it seems as though, again, with a Republican majority, you do need some sign-on onto that. It does seem like there's bipartisan support for this from
And
both
so,
sides.
in layman's term,
Mhm.
if the QBE has not been updated and does not include poverty, an indicator for poverty, what does that mean right
Mhm.
now for
Mhm.
educational funding?
Mhm. It means that we are one of a handful of states in this union that does not take students' needs into how much money we give our schools.
Okay.
And so it does not matter to the government right now that if your school is full of people that live below the poverty wage, or if they're a school with $1 million houses surrounding it.
Mm.
And so
They are treated the
would that lead to some disparities in educational
Mhm.
spending and how resources are allocated across school districts?
Absolutely. So we've seen that over the course. This is the Republican leadership that we are
Mhm.
talking about. Because to put an example here, the Democratic caucus is the Democratic Party is dedicated to reforming this formula. Again, foundational, tangible change. The Republican Party, as we saw last year, is dedicated to defunding public schools and sending vouchers using taxpayer dollars for private schools instead.
And
Two very different solutions.
And if we look at Texas right now, and
Mhm.
we're seeing that people are starting to wake up, smell the coffee, and realize that they were hoodwinked, that
Mhm.
they were bamboozled, run amok
Mhm. Mhm.
in believing that they would be able to get quality education or be able to afford private schools with this voucher. And so what it ends up happening is that people who are already able to afford private school are now getting a discount on their
Mhm.
tuition.
Yes, because the way they set up the school voucher bill, unfortunately, it passed by one vote 2 years ago. Um, the way that they set it up was that it would take funds from Title I schools, the bottom performing ones of them, and put it into a $6,500 voucher for families that apply for it. Now, I haven't gone to private school. My parents and my family do not send our children to private school. However, I do know it costs more than $6,500 to send someone to private school.
It
Right.
does.
And so it is nothing more than a discount that hurts the bottom performing schools, promoting escapism instead of actually solving the problem.
Facts.
Some parents have even complained in Texas that they're finding that schools have now raised their tuition,
Hmm. That's right.
that the voucher has come out.
Right.
Because there's still an aura of exclusivity that these
Mhm.
schools want to have. So they
Yes.
don't want everybody to be able to afford it. And so, I've been seeing some parents on social media talking about how they thought that this voucher was going to be a good thing, and they're not finding any
Mhm.
schools that they can afford even with the voucher.
Right. Right.
You know,
Mhm.
um, I don't know if you were finished. I
Go ahead.
didn't mean to
Go ahead.
interrupt. Um, I want to jump on one of, mental health is one of my things, our young people and all the other good stuff. We really care about making sure that people have the resources that they need. Um, and veterans. I'm a veteran. I'm a survivor of military sexual trauma, and mental health is really important. With the Department of Veteran Affairs in the state of Georgia, my own personal experience, it needs some work. I love the VA; they're doing the best that they can. But is the VA under your radar to try to help with funding and resources to make sure that a veteran gets the
Mhm.
services that they need. We have way too many veterans
Mhm.
that are homeless, that are experiencing addictions, that are
Mhm.
not handling their mental health well,
Mhm.
because it's just the VA is just overwhelmed.
Mhm.
It's many more of us than it is the people in the VA providing the services. So,
Right.
do you have a plan? Have this
Mhm.
if this is this on your radar for
Mhm.
your leadership?
Mhm. So it's on the so admittedly I am not an expert in this subject matter.
Mhm.
So they place us on various committees. I am not on the Veterans Affairs Committee,
Mhm.
unfortunately. And so there are other representatives that would have a better understanding of this.
Mhm.
However, I can speak on just agencies in general within the state of Georgia, where
Yes.
that is a massive priority for us
Mhm.
because in a lot of our meetings with not only these agencies, but also local stakeholders like our sheriffs, our parents, a lot of these agencies that are supposed to and designed to help us are indebted, don't have
Mhm.
the resources they have, are cutting corners, especially
Mhm.
when we're talking about places like DFACS, where we're dealing with families. We're dealing
Yes.
with the adoption of children, the foster care system. And yet
Mhm.
they are sitting on $80 million of debt.
Mm.
And our governor, again, not a single word, not a single word
Mhm.
about this. And
Mhm.
so, number one, I like to think of solutions that just, so to speak, get to the root of the problem.
Mhm.
And the best way to solve all this is by getting a new governor.
Ah,
One, yes, admittedly, it's by getting one that
tell us how you
understands.
really feel.
Yes, no, admittedly, your Governor Brian Kemp is term limited, and we're in a swing state where there's a real opportunity to get a governor that's more aligned with our ideals. Which, admittedly, I am a Democrat. I would like to see a Democratic governor. I would like to see.
Here, here. So, Representative Ali,
Mhm.
um, we touched on this not during this show, but when I saw you in person
Mhm.
at the MLK Day event in Snellville that was put together by my good sis, Catherine Hardrick. And I was pulling your ear a little bit about in my work, I am a child advocate attorney,
Mhm.
and my frustrations currently with the budget or the lack thereof in the Department of Family and Children Services, also known as DFACS. So, for those of our listeners that may not be aware, right now, Georgia, the Department of Family and Children Services has a shortfall. They are without funding. Like money has been but the money's not there. And so what has happened because of this shortfall is that families are not receiving services. So just to be clear, these are children that have been removed from their parents' homes, and DFACS now stands in the place of being the parent. And DFACS is required by law to provide services for reunification to get those families back together. That includes therapy, um, counseling. Well, counseling is therapy, but if the children require have medical needs, things that they're supposed to purchase for them, if the parents need drug counseling, drug testing, if the parents need psychological service, DFACS is supposed to provide those services. So, and visitation. Uh,
Mm.
because of the budget shortfall, families are not getting visitations because they don't have providers to provide the transportation. They're
Mhm.
not families are not getting if substance abuse was an issue, parents are not getting um, treatment.
Mhm.
Um, so children are not getting counseling. They're not getting they're not seeing providers because this funding has dried up,
Mhm.
and they're having to do everything now by a request from the state office.
Mhm.
And it's not practical. It is not practical. So I'm seeing children who are not getting to see their parents. Parents not getting to see their children. I'm seeing my clients who are not getting therapeutic services. So I need for my Democratic representatives to be fired up, angry, and pissed off
Mm-hmm.
These are young people's lives, and just the event alone of being removed from their parent is a
Mm,
traumatic is what's called an ACE, an adverse childhood experience.
mm,
Traumatic in and of itself. And so
mm.
some of these young people are diagnosed with PTSD because they have been removed from their home and things like that. So I cannot implore enough of how much I need Democrats to just be angry. And for those people who are listening, we need you to be calling in, not just to your Democratic representatives, I need you to be calling in to your Republican representatives as well, because
Everybody.
they represent all of us.
That's
So
right.
if you're in a district that has a Republican representative and you care about children, because they're the party of family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I need for you to talk to your colleagues, not just the Democratic colleagues, but your colleagues that are in that party of family,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
to implore upon them the importance of restoring the funding
That's right.
to tax.
If I can speak on that.
Yes, you can.
So,
Please do.
so one of the promises I made on the campaign that once, if and when I got elected, was that the people wanted a fighter. The people wanted someone that will sit there and that will be fired up about exactly this, and not, and so to speak, if I will, the sign back there says "Young gets it done,"
Mm,
but I don't like to think about that as an age thing.
mhm.
I like to think about that as a drive and energy thing,
Mm-hmm.
or in so few words, having a spine. Because, and we're starting to see this newer wave of elected officials come in that are hungry, that have a spine, that are wanting to tackle these issues that are, again, foundational and are tangible. Admittedly, a lot of the conversations I've had with the other side of the aisle is they're acting like an ostrich, saying that not happening. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
We're just gonna build more roads and it's all gonna be okay. Right? Which is of
Denial.
course not the case. It's one thing where, yes, if we fight and we get as much things as we can do, that's one thing. Them listening is another thing. And so we've had to try and find workarounds with, like, take for instance, maybe not with defects, but with a similar agency. I believe it was DBHDD. So the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities.
Yes.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so take for instance this. Uh, the department had not been reaching out to our sheriff at all. And the department is stationed right next to the sheriff's office, and they have to come in, or prisoners have to be transferred to there in order to get a psychological evaluation, and then transferred back, and then get a hearing from a judge, and then get the ruling.
Mm-hmm.
So part of the problem was that the thing of getting transferred back and forth was extremely time costly, financially costly, and various other things. And so now we're trying to, because of the other side of the aisle not wanting to listen to us, we're trying to find other solutions, as in maybe instead of bringing the prisoners back and forth, maybe the agency can come to the sheriff's office and cut down on that. And
Mm-hmm.
so the theory that we're working off of is that with agencies like DFACS, we can try and find things of this sort in the interim until, again, we get a new governor and it can be resolved. Because, again, we shouldn't be sitting on $16 billion surpluses when agencies like this are not getting any more funding.
Mm-hmm.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely not.
What's the sense of having a surplus when you're not able to? I understand having a rainy day fund
Hmm.
when
Hmm.
everything, you should always have a rainy day fund. But
Hmm.
when you have agencies,
But right
departments,
now we're in a
elements
monsoon.
Hmm.
that are in a deficit and they're unable to perform efficiently to
Hmm.
provide the services that the quality of life, period.
Yes.
I don't understand why it's just sitting there. I mean, you're not using any of it. So,
In my
but
philosophy, in my philosophy and way of thinking, it is that yes, we are legally required to have a rainy day fund. Yes.
absolutely.
with the math working out, don't quote me on this, but I believe it would be around 9 billion. We are sitting at 15, 16 billion. Is what we have right now not a state of emergency?
And it absolutely is, because these families are not receiving
Mhm.
services,
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
and we're keeping children in care longer than we have to because they're not receiving services. So, you know, tell that to everybody that you
Mhm.
encounter, that may be on that committee that uh, is working on that part of the budget. But we've said a lot, we've talked about a lot. But the question that my good sis Kat always asks, is, what do you do to make sure that you're taking care of yourself?
Mm. So one of the lessons I was taught uh, getting into this political space about 2, 3 years ago was every time you need to, every once in a while, whenever you feel the need to, you write down who you are within a journal. Um, it could be as simple as just, here's my name, here are my values, and here are the people in my life that are close to me that I consider family. And I have gone through 6 journals so far. In fact,
Wow.
the one I am starting to write now is a Spelman College journal that I got today. Yeah. Um, and so that's something I do from time to time just to remember who I am, because it's, again, in all the work that we do, in all the work that we can do, it's very easy to forget who you are, whether that be in a bad way where you, unfortunately, a lot of people can get corrupt, or you get so far into the good that you forget that you are a human.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for that. I'm so glad you shared
Mhm.
that. And I
Mhm.
don't know if my little birdie is accurate, but am I too early to say happy birthday to you?
You are just
Happy
on time.
birthday.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Sending you all the love.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
And
And with your birthday, are you still the youngest?
I am. That's right.
You're an old man now. Yeah.
Lord.
Representative Ali, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Conversations with Karen and Kat.
Well,
Mhm.
we are impacting the world one conversations at a time.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Truly grateful experience.